This is a Renew original recording. Hello and welcome to Season 3 of Believe in People, the British podcast award-winning series exploring addiction, recovery and the stigma that surrounds them. I'm Matthew Butler, your host, or as I like to say, your facilitator. Today's guest is Melissa, a nurse whose understanding of addiction was transformed by both her work and her own family story. We talk about fear, judgment, the damage done by stigma, and how media narratives can teach us to see people with addictions as problems rather than human beings. This is a conversation about unlearning, empathy, and what it really means to look beyond the label. Can you take me back to the day that you came in for your interview here? You've spoken about sitting in the waiting room with service users and feeling like you was out of your depth. What was going on through your mind in that moment, sitting in that reception area amongst the people that use these services?
I was terrified, I'm not going to lie. I have always praised myself being somebody, even from a little girl that used to go to London with spare change in my pocket to give to the homeless. I do not judge anybody whatsoever at all. Don't care who you are, colour of your skin, sexual... It's what I teach my children. But yet on that day, I came in for that interview crapping myself. And I sat there with the service users in reception, and I'm ashamed to say I picked up my handbag and I put it on my knee. And I cuddled it like a teddy bear, thinking, someone's going to nick this. If I leave it on the floor, someone's going to nick it. And I'm so ashamed to say that, but that's exactly how I felt.
Why did you feel that way? I for the record, I can understand why people would feel that way, but why did you feel that way specifically as someone who has these values of being so open and understanding of people's situation and circumstances? Why did you feel like that in that moment?
I've done a little bit of personal reflecting. In nursing, you're actually encouraged to do some reflecting back on your practice in order to make you better, whether it be a negative, positive, is what they encourage for your revalidation. And when I did some further research into it, I found that quite honestly, society is to blame for that. So you've all seen it, the medical programmes after dark that's been in Hull Royal Infirmary, showing footage of drunken individuals or heavily, intoxicated in whatever they've taken, with the words over the top of it from the narrator saying, so many million is spent on alcohol misuse and drug misuse, and the nurses are being attacked and blah, 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 blah. They're not showing behind that. So that footage of that man that they're showing, kicking off with the security, why is he kicking off? There's got to be a reason why you're kicking off. Has he been... is the security guard miffed him off in what way? Is somebody not listening to him? Is he in pain? Putting that narrative over the top of that says to society, these people are wrong. These people are the reason why you got the NHS waiting list. These are the people that we need to be, telling off. These are the baddies. Where the good is, they're the baddies because they're messing everything up. Okay. So... It's all, and everywhere that they like to shape it on what we see day to day. That is what I grew up watching. I was watching the medical programmes. Obviously, I wanted to be a nurse, so I was watching the medical programmes, and that's exactly what it taught me. Fear these people. They have one agenda. They're going to steal from you. They're going to hurt you. Protect yourself, protect your family. These people are scum, in a nutshell.
So it's interesting to kind of have that... potential outlook and to look at it that way, but then want to work in a service that is specifically treating people with drug and alcohol dependency. How do those two things, I guess, cross each other then, from having that, potential understanding or being indoctrinated in some way from media about, these people are the villains, to then wanting to come here and support them? Where does that link up?
As soon as I saw the job advertisement, I'm very much into mental health, and I always have been. Even my mother said, I'm surprised you didn't become a mental health nurse. And I saw the advertisement, and all I thought was, my brother. Okay. And I just thought, I can save him. If I learn a little bit more, if I can do something, I can make a difference. And I had many of a conversation with my family. Are you sure? Are you sure about this? Are you strong enough to do it? You can't save everyone, Melissa. You can't save everyone. You know that, don't you? Yeah, I do know that. But I need to finish work every day knowing that I've done something. I might have said something that made that difference that day. And that's very much what I want to do. It's not just necessarily about the physical health, it's about connection and the mental health all combined into one. So as soon as I saw that advert, I'll be honest, I didn't think I was going to get it. I'll be completely honest. But as soon as I saw it, I thought, my brother, let's do it for him. But it frightened the crap out of me.
How did you view your brother then? Because I'm really interested in this again, this polarization of people with addiction being the villains in the way that you do see on some of these TV shows, like you said, the After Dark and 24 Hours in A&E. You do see that. How do you, I guess, have that, or how are you? It's hard to say, but how do you believe that messaging that comes from them programs of the villains, etc., and the medical staff being the good guys, and then having a brother who is in addiction as well? Like, surely that wouldn't have married up though for you, seeing that messaging and having that personal experience.
I felt poorly of him initially. I saw him walking away from his children. I saw him disappearing for 7 years, and I'm ashamed to say it, but I just thought, you're the same. Initially,
you just saw him as someone who lacked accountability and didn't necessarily understand the root cause of those things. I didn't
know the backstory. I was just, whether it be denial to protect myself, it can't have been anything to do with us. It couldn't have been anything. I just, well, okay, then fair enough. He's repeating what our father did. He's repeating all of that, and I had an anger. But then also a longing that he was my big brother, and in our youth he was fiercely defensive, defending of me. He was my big brother. He would take a baseball bat if need be.
Yeah, put him up on the pedestal, don't you?
Absolutely.
The older sibling, yeah. Understandable.
So initially he was, and I did fear him. And initially when there was one occasion that it was New Year, and my mum, had him over at our house, and she said, I just need a night off. And it turned into much like a babysitting thing, of which he came over to our house for us to babysit him. And I'd done a little bit of research at that point. I knew that you couldn't just stop drinking. And with it being New Year, I thought, okay, so, he had a couple of drinks and everything with us, but I took my handbag upstairs that night.
Yeah, so even the stigma then that you're thinking your own brother might even steal from you to fund his substance use.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you and your brother grew up in the same household and experienced that same family environment, because we do often look at sometimes those early childhood years as potentially being the triggers for an addiction. But thinking about how you both grew up in that same household and looking back now, how do you understand the way your paths ended up being so different?
I honestly believe I'm a very vocal person. I wear my heart on my sleeve very, very much. If I can help anybody or whatever, I just say it. This is why counselling's never worked for me, because I tell everybody anyway. It's not like I'm hiding something. I have my heart on my sleeve. My brother was very different. He found it difficult to discuss his emotion. He was a lot more quieter than me. I was jazz hands on a stage somewhere. Look at me, I'm absolutely fabulous. Whereas he was, no, I'm just going to hide behind here. I'm just going to be really quiet. And I honestly believe now, from working with those individuals with substance misuse in somewhere, that they are the most genuine, feel things very, very deeply individuals. And when you feel things so incredibly deeply, you need something. You need something to manage that. If you're unable to regulate it, if you're unable to verbalise it, you need something else. And I honestly feel that once may well have started off as something quite recreational, then turned into the dependency that he worked out that it was working for him, that he was able to function day to day because of it.
Do you think gender roles come into that at all? I think it's quite stereotypical. Actually. Men keep their feelings to themselves. We don't talk about our problems. And you mentioned, you said it quite You said something about your father, like, oh, he's just like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about the relationship between, I suppose, what your father brought into that home, and how maybe that was perceived very differently between yourself and your brother.
To be perfectly honest, my mum was more the cuddly person. My dad wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I desperately desired my dad's attention in any which way, shape or form. I really, really did. And so did my brother, very much so. But I was different. I'd crawl on my dad's knee if I wanted a cuddle. He couldn't. He couldn't do that. He was unable to do it. But if I demanded a cuddle, I would get a cuddle from him.
Yeah.
I was constantly told as what was my brother, that we was not good enough. We was the underachievers. Our other siblings, half siblings from the previous marriage, they were superior. They got the better job. They got the better qualifications. We was going to amount to absolutely nothing.
That's interesting to have that from your previous relationship. I mean, you sometimes see it in the case of it's often that parents forget about their old families and they've got a new one, and suddenly the new family takes the precedent. But it sounds like the old family took priority over yourself and your brother.
It's certainly how we felt, but we was brought up under the understanding that my half-sister and my half-brother, there was brother and sister. So it was never half-sisters, anything like that.
So it was just siblings.
There was just our siblings. But even my sister used to join in with it, saying, I'm the A-star student, Mel. You're the C. I didn't know at the time I was dyslexic and ADHD, so of course I'm not going to be as high-flying as what she was. And so for me, my entire life, I was just underneath. My brother, he was academically quite clever, but of course, because of his recreational use and people that he hung around with at school, he never achieved potentially where he could have gone if he would have knuckled down, whereas I was genuinely trying. Yeah. But I just couldn't do as well as what he could naturally. Just couldn't.
Do you still have a relationship with your dad?
He's died now.
Okay.
And when I was 25 years old, but my mum and dad had separated at that point. Been together 30 years, had separated, and I was trying desperately to keep a relationship open with my dad. And I rang him up one day to tell him really handsomely that I'd cut my grass, because he was a landscape gardener. Yet again, I was trying to, Dad, look approval, at me. Yeah. I've cut my own grass. And he simply turned round and said, I don't need to speak to you or your brother anymore. I want nothing to do with you. Didn't give me an explanation. And I just said, why? He said, no, I'm not. There's no explanation, and just put the phone down on us. I rang my brother automatically and said, this is what Dad's just said to me. His first reaction was, are you absolutely losing your mind? Yeah. He rang up my dad, and my dad confirmed exactly the same thing to my brother, and my brother kicked off at him, and in his words to me, afterwards, I'm more angry for you because every girl needs a dad. I don't need a dad. I don't need this. I don't need that. However, more recent conversations, he did need a dad, and he's told me multiple stories in regards to times on what he just wanted to be manly, like Dad. But yeah, from that moment on, he didn't talk to us. I'm now 43, and last year, literally just as I started this job, I get a phone call to say his end of life. He's actually had cancer, didn't want anybody to know. My half-brother had said to him, shall we let Melissa come, because Melissa very much still wants to see, because I've tried to write letters and everything over the years. I've even had the door thrown in my face from going to the door to see him, and is never engaged. And as I say, on his deathbed, he said no. But when it came to his funeral, just as I started working here, I thought, I'm going. And so I did. And that was actually the first time that I saw my brother after 7 years of absence, at my dad's funeral.
Okay. Your brother with the addiction?
My brother with the addiction, yeah.
Okay. Did your dad keep in touch with the other?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you still have no explanation as to why he cut you out?
The only explanation that I've heard around the grapevine is that we looked too much like my mum. Now, whether that be right or not, I mean, it's just ludicrous. I mean, how any parent, father or mother, can walk away from their children. And I can tell you now, even at 25, it hurts just as much as what you would be if you were at 9, 10 years old. And particularly with my ADHD, ruminating thoughts, the constant, you're not good enough. I mean, I've got a tattoo now saying I'm good, I am enough, just to try and have that constant reminder. Because when somebody tells you that, so often you start to believe it.
Yeah. My daughter looks nothing like me. My DNA didn't even try. She is my wife's double in every way. If I look at childhood pictures of my wife, it just looks like again, like I said, it was like I wasn't even present. Do you know what I mean? But like, I'm just trying to put myself in that position. I got not a chance in hell would I ever cut her out of my life for any circumstances. No,
I mean, like when we was young, when I got to be a teenager, and I had conversations with my mum, said, you know, why don't my dad give me a cuddle? You know, why this, why that? And she said to me, well, he was sexually abused as a child.
Okay, so
like, you know, trying to give like a rationale, but then in saying that, I know a lot of people who have had sexual abuse, physical abuse, and they don't abandon the children. Well, I say children, we was 25, but we were still children.
You're still there. You're still his children.
Absolutely that.
It's interesting, and it's, I suppose what's harder with this is that there are questions now for you that will naturally
forever
go unanswered forever. You will never get. It's almost like you will never get that closure in which you need.
I got my closure. I wrote a very, very long letter, and I vocalised everything that I wanted to say, and I went to see him in his coffin, and I just read out everything, and it wasn't a slanging match to my dad. It was you gave us this, and these are the experiences that I remember. You provided this, you provided that, but then I'm never going to forgive you for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And now I'm walking away from you. Rather than you walking away from me, I'm walking away. And I hid it in his Hull Daily Mail newspaper that he had, because he always had a newspaper every day. And so my step-siblings would never find it, so they wouldn't want to remove it. I hid it, so I know perfectly well that his cremated remains was
with that letter.
Was with that letter, and that is my closure.
Going back to seeing your brother for the first time in the 7 years, thinking about his relationship with substance misuse, when did you first realise that his relationship with alcohol and drugs had moved beyond that normal experimentation and had become something much more serious? Was it when you sort of rekindled that relationship when you saw him after that 7 years, or did you know prior to that?
I knew prior to that. He'd come to us and actually said he was visiting Renew. He was coming here. I didn't even know where this place was, not going to lie.
Yeah.
And he was coming here for some treatment. He ended up in hospital at one point, completely jaundiced. Completely jaundiced. And he disappeared for a little bit before that point as well. And I was notified he was in hospital, so I turned up at the hospital and he was like a frail old man, completely jaundiced. But things were picking up. He obviously was detoxed in hospital. He got back with his ex-partner, the partner to his youngest son, and things were going well. You know, we was going round, and then this massive explosion happened, an argument between them both, of which it turned out that he'd started drinking or something and hiding it. I only heard his partner's side of the story at the time. So, yet again, I felt low on him. It's your fault. You've been drinking. You've been doing this. I've since learned that there was other stuff.
Was that the reason for not seeing him for 7 years? Did he cut you off, or did you cut him off? Okay, so yeah, he cut you guys off. And was that because he felt judged because of his addiction problems from you as a family?
It just completely after that explosion that happened, he left his partner's house and he disappeared.
Okay.
After that, literally from that disagreement there, of which I knew that he was with this other woman in Bridlington, and that's all I knew. I tried to contact him multiple times on social media, because he still had me as a friend on social media, and he never responded. He read the messages, but he never responded. Every birthday and every Christmas, I thought, I don't want you to think I've given up on you.
Okay.
So every birthday, every Christmas,
Reached out, yeah.
I reached out every single time. Tried to, and then when I started working here, I messaged him, I'm starting to see things differently. I want to apologise for this. I want to apologise for that. I'm here to support you whenever you're ready. Just let me know when.
What was you apologising for?
For being a bitch. For judging him. For not looking past, for being the same as most people in society, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
For being that he needed a lot more, and I was immature, and I wasn't well educated enough to give him that at the time.
Okay.
So I was just trying to say to him, this is what I've learned. You don't need to be frightened anymore. When you're ready, here I am.
Yeah. I suppose being a sibling of someone with an addiction, or being a parent, being a friend, being anybody close to someone, there must be an element of feelings of powerlessness in order to support them. What does that powerlessness look like in everyday life for you and your family as well?
My mum ended up on antidepressants. She just couldn't cope.
Did she blame herself in some way?
She still blames herself to this day.
Okay.
Continuously blames herself, of which I've had to say, there's no one to blame here. It is what it is. Yeah, my dad was a factor, but I'm sure multiple other things was a factor as well. Blame doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's where we are now, and how do we deal with it now? But she still very much believes that she should have been a better mother, that she could have done more in some way, which is really sad. It
is, yeah, because I think it is. I often talk about this, but like thinking about my own relationship with my daughter now, she's recently just started going to a preschool, and it's interesting to see those external influences now influencing her.
Yeah.
Whereas prior to that, it was just my influence and my wife's influence and that of our immediate family. I guess it's always hard as a parent to look at this and think, well, it must be something I did, when sometimes, as you said earlier, there was this recreational use, and that could have come from his peer groups.
It very much
trying
did.
to impress, that wanting to fit in. It's hard to say because we're not here to discuss this is your story. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to say what caused that relationship with substances for him. I mean, we can start to piece things together, the lack of relationship with the lack of a father figure in his life in the way that he maybe wanted him, that lack of love. And I think when we talk about the training in which we deliver with volunteers, we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
And at the very bottom of that, we talk about the need to be loved.
Absolutely.
And to be cared about. And if that basic need isn't being met from someone that your brother sees as an important part of his life and his dad, you're not going to move up that ladder to, self-actualization, so to speak.
My brother turned round to me once through conversation, and we've had multiple conversations obviously since, and he mentioned about my brother-in-law coming round to the house on a Sunday. It was always the same, thing, the brother-in-law and his half-sister coming round to the house. And every Sunday, my dad would pour him a glass of Southern Comfort and give it to my brother-in-law. And when my brother turned 18, he sat there in the living room and he waited for that one glass of Southern Comfort, because to him that was an acceptance.
Yeah.
You're welcomed into the team. He never got that glass of Southern Comfort.
Interesting.
So when you look at it from that perspective, you think, wow, you believed that Southern Comfort had, an acceptance. It had... Is that the reason why you enjoyed a glass of Southern Comfort? I don't know. You can start to overthink it, maybe.
Of course, yeah.
But it's me trying to look into the psychology behind it to think, right, okay, so how did we get here? But it's so incredibly sad to think that one little simple action, my dad could have given him that glass of Southern Comfort and he would have
And that could have maybe changed everything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, could have changed the entire trajectory of his life.
Absolutely,
because there would have been that feeling of acceptance. So when you started working in substance misuse services, what did you begin to understand about addiction that you'd not seen or understood before? It's obviously been a massive learning curve for you, being in these services. What are some of the main things that being here has taught you that you maybe didn't? What did you do prior to being here? Did you work on a ward or?
When I first qualified, I worked as a community nurse. So primarily I was working with the elderly, lots of wound care, a lot of end-of-life patients, syringe drivers and whatnot. But then I went into commissioning, so I dealt with a lot of very complex assessments. But to me, I needed something more. As I say, I'm more mental health driven. I feel as if that mental health really does get pushed under. I think they're just as important. You can bandage up a pearly. Yeah. You can't just bandage up your head. It's a lot deeper. So I was looking for something else, and I wouldn't think of doing anything else now. Yeah. Honestly, I just.
So it's kind of, there's a similarity there, because it's not that you've been on the wards.
No.
So what have you learnt specifically about substance misuse and addiction that you hadn't, again, seen or understood before then?
As I say,
mental health obviously being a big part of it.
Mental health is, my God, you don't find somebody with substance misuse who doesn't have an element of some mental health decline of some sort. And honestly, if I can be, they're the nicest people I've ever met in my life. I don't have to open a door when I'm here. Our service users open the door for me. They are love. I don't feel threatened. I feel completely safe. If someone's shouting at me, I'm not scared to back away. I come back forward. I'm not frightened anymore. They are the most genuine people that you'll ever meet in your life. And so that's why it angers me that I was sat there originally.
With that perception.
Yeah. Absolutely that. So that's what I've learned. That you don't have to come from, we have a lot of people coming forward with trauma and horrific things that have happened to them, absolutely horrific. And of course they're going to use in order to dull that. But not always. It
comes back to that. Again, we talk a lot about trauma-informed practice, don't we? And I've heard it said many times that a lot of the people that we work with, good people who've just had a terrible life. And I completely understand that, because my experience, I had to do something with the local news recently, and they was asking me questions about, should people feel scared when these people are hanging out in groups? And I was like, look, I'm not going to tell people whether they should be scared or not. How everybody feels is completely their right to feel that way, but based on my experience. And then we had that conversation there, and again said that a lot of these people are good people that have had bad lives, So I get why people may feel that way. I understand it, but again, challenge that stigma, talk to people.
Absolutely.
Kind of again, we always say this on this series especially, everybody has a story. What is their story?
I had a service user only come to me yesterday, and I was really struggling to get her to engage. And she wasn't even looking at me until I managed just to get her eye contact. And it turns out that in her point of view, not a single professional has listened to her. They don't understand, no one's helping her. And so it's just that intervention of, I'm so sorry you've gone through that, and that is how you're feeling, it's valid. I can't talk about that, but we can sort this out now, and this is where we're moving forward now.
Can't change what's happened there, but
absolutely not. And of course, there's different perceptions, so we don't know that, do we?
Of course, so just because it's been perceived in that way doesn't necessarily mean
absolutely
it is that way. So, from my understanding, your brother, again, is back in your life now, as you've said. You're communicating a lot more. You've both been through so much. What do you hope that families maybe listening to this episode might take away from your own personal experience here and experiences?
I want everyone to get something out of today's podcast, if I'm completely honest. If you're a service user, I really, really, really want you to hand it over to your family. Just turn it on for your family to listen to, because it's really important for families to listen to it, or not even families, people surrounding that individual, for them to know that knowledge is power. And feeling powerless is completely natural. They can come to us here at Renew for us to give them more information in order to help them feel more in control, but then to help the service user as well. So get that information, talk to the service user, start gaining that information. As a nurse, it's been, I've been forced or somewhat into this environment in order for me to learn that. It's something naturally that we might not be able to do in day-to-day life. But we're here as a service to help everybody, not just a service user. If they are a service user, at the end of the day, we are here to support you. No judgment here. The amount of service users that we have walking in through our doors on a daily basis with self-harm marks that are that deep that they've got infected, because they haven't been over to the hospital because of the way that there was treat last time.
Yeah. Those cultures and attitudes from professionals are so important, aren't they?
Absolutely. And I get it when they're walking through the door and they look at me. I get it. They see me in the uniform and they think, I've had...
There's the barrier right there.
There's the barrier that, I had one person say to me, I was expecting a matron when they came in ready to... But I'm putting on good voice for this podcast.
Yeah.
Normally I'm quite blue in how... But when I'm talking to people... If they're going to swear, I'm going to swear back.
It's about connecting on their level, isn't it?
Absolutely. So therefore, I'm not better than them. They're no better than me. We're on here on a mutual ground.
Yeah.
So
I remember getting pulled up for my language. One of the managers here years ago had overheard my interaction with a service user, and I wasn't cussing at them.
No.
I was just in the conversation, part of that conversation. I was just talking how I would talk, and I completely understand the professional element that we need to portray, but I also think at the same time, sometimes that basic human connection of me just being me provides a genuine article for that person to then be genuine in return.
Absolutely.
So it breaks down that barrier. I think there's nothing wrong with a bit of a blue conversation. No. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And honestly, I've had service users, one of them, for Christmas, bought me a button that you press and it says bullshit, bullshit, because she thought it was good that I was able to curse, and it makes, there's a perception of nurses, doctors, etc. that we're from the middle class and all
holier than thou,
all of that sort of stuff. I was brought up in a considered a well-to-do area. Yeah, I was. But I'm a commoner's muck, you want to believe it. And, is it a miracle on how I got through a nursing degree? Absolutely. Yeah. But here we are. And I don't want them to feel intimidated by me. Of course, I want them to come back to me and know that they're safe with me. And that would be my word to medical professionals as well. Not all of them. Can't speak for absolutely all of them. But... when you see somebody, when they present in A&E, when they present in your ward or your treatment room, wherever it may well be, don't look at the addiction. Don't look that side of things. Why have they come to you? Have they got a wound? Have they got this? It was a conversation I had with my brother in his most recent hospital admission, of which he says, there's not a single person in this room that knows about my addiction. And I said, and how does that make you feel? And he says, brilliant, because they're treating me like a human being. Yeah,
because it's not there for a substance misuse related issue.
Absolutely.
Interesting, yeah. It's a shame, that, isn't it?
It's a massive, massive shame.
That it's just so noticeable.
Yeah.
Do you know? When presenting with an issue that is obviously related to their substance misuse being treated in such a way.
The day I picked up my brother to take him to my dad's funeral, he was a shadow of a man. And he was vomiting into a courier bag because his body was rejecting the alcohol all the way up to the funeral. It was the first time I'd seen him in 7 years. And when we got there to the funeral, I stood there by his side as him in a wheelchair, and not a single person from the family came up to say hello. The ones that did come up to say hello spoke over him. Of which I had to direct their attention down, saying, "This is Jamie." Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know it was you. So that is going to his dad's funeral. Is already so brave to do that. He was brave to get in contact with me to say, "Mel, I want to go to the funeral." He was brave to see me for the first time in 7 years. He was brave to turn up at a funeral knowing that
the anxiety he must have felt that morning.
Immense. Immense. And yet people were talking over him. That pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. Because just because he's in a wheelchair, just because he is looking very vulnerable, don't look down on him. And so very quickly the roles did change.
Yeah.
There once upon a time when I was a young lass and I was getting bullied, he rocked up with a baseball bat.
You was able to protect him in that moment.
I was, but then you look at it from the other perspective of, would he have wanted that? Was that demasculate? Is that the right word?
No, yeah,
emasculating for him? Did that put him down? All I just thought is, you're my brother and I'm going to protect you to the end of the earth, the same way as what he would do me.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and thank you for sharing, so much of your story. And it's interesting to see your professional development that's come through just by being exposed to it. And I think this is why this podcast is so important to myself and obviously to Robbie as the producer, because I've said for years, if people got to know the people that use these services as individuals, their perception would change.
They are the most wonderful people ever. You could get the most wonderful stories. When I first started here, I wanted to learn more because I'm not going to lie, I felt a little bit an outsider.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of lived experience working within the, within Renew. And I thought, my God, I've been left outside the party,
Yeah.
So I started to listen to your podcasts.
Oh, thank you.
It's all right. I started listening to the people that I know. So then I could connect to that person. Then a couple of celebrities. I started to go one by one through it. And it opens your eyes, and then suddenly you feel what they feel. And I think that's so important, and that's a good tip.
That connection, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. To anybody, the same way the Oliver McGowan story is, across all education, this should be.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think it would open people's eyes for a different perspective.
Yeah.
And to see that there is hope at the other end of it, and there are genuine people there to support.
Well, that's the origin of the podcast. I mean, I've often said this, my perception of addiction was very different until I started working here.
Yeah.
Had I never started working, and I came in as an admin worker originally.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that was my first role was in the administration team. I've often said, now as an organisation, Change Go Live do value-based interviewing. I don't think I'd have passed a value-based interview 10 years ago because I don't think, weirdly enough, I understood enough about the people that these services support to do that. I got by on competency and my perception and understanding of addiction changed whilst being in service. But that doesn't happen for everyone, and that's the importance of a value-based interview, isn't it?
But in saying that, I had a value-based interview,
and you still passed it. Yeah.
I said all the right things, and what I genuinely thought, I didn't just bullshit them all the way through. Genuinely, that's what I felt. But you don't open your eyes. And that's the difference, as I say, as a young kid, there I am with my change that I've saved up my pocket money.
The homeless,
Look at me doing the right thing.
It's almost it's a little self-pat on the back as opposed to the actual, maybe the reasons for it.
And so that is the difference right there. Anyone can say, I am diverse, I appreciate everyone, doesn't matter where you come from, blah, 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 blah. Until you open your eyes, you cannot genuinely say that. And I can genuinely say that, and I wouldn't work with any other people.
Thank you again, Melissa, and again, thank you for your time. We like to end all our podcasts with a series of questions that we ask all our guests. Quick fire, if possible. And my first question is, what's your favourite word?
Bubble.
Least favourite word?
Oh, bloody hell, I didn't think of that. Least favourite word? Stigma.
Tell me something that excites you.
Music.
Something that bores you or drains your energy.
Slow walkers.
Slow.
Bastards, aren't they?
Tell me, what sound or noise do you love?
Laughing.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Crying.
When do you most feel like yourself?
When I'm at home with my family.
That's nice. What profession of your own would you like to attempt had you not been a nurse?
I always wanted to be a nurse.
Always.
I did go through a stage of being a funeral director, and I did that for a while.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I did prior to my nursing degree. That was good.
Yeah.
But no, it's always been nursing from being a little pickle.
What profession would you not like to do?
A politician. Bastard.
And then lastly, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I've got a lovely clean set of pyjamas for you. Nice fluffy slippers. You deserve a little bit of chill now. And you're a good egg.
You're a good egg. Melissa, thank you so much for joining me on Believe in People.
Thank you.
And if you've enjoyed this episode of the Believe in People podcast, we'd love for you to share it with others who might find it meaningful. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and leaving a review will help us reach more people and continue challenging stigma around addiction and recovery. For additional resources, insights and updates, explore the links in this episode description. And to learn more about our mission and hear more incredible stories, you can visit us directly at believeinpeoplepodcast.com.